Hello guys, how we doing? Hey, how are we? I think that's all good. I think we're all up and running. Let's turn this music off. Some interesting stuff going on, hey? Nice and cool. Let me know it's all working. Yaspel's here. Hello. 829E says, Matt, where are you looking to spot buy? We'll get into that, but I'm not really sure is the answer to that. Are we on X? I need to get the X chat up. I thought I had this all going. My bad. Cool. Yasabel says, all good. Crypto 004. 40K soon, she said. I don't know who she is. I still see 40K on the table. Yaspel says that. All right, let's get into this, and then we'll go through the chat afterwards. It looks like we're working. That's good. So just to get the housekeeping out of the way, the stream is partnered with Blofin, and at Blofin you'll get up to 150x leverage trading, and there's no KYC to sign up, which is great. So if you bring over your CEX trade into Blofin using my link, we'll match your existing fee and VIP structure if it's better. Plus, you'll also get access to my weekly live trading sessions and my new private Telegram, where I give market reviews and trade plans daily. The link is in the comments, and it'll be in the description below. The stream is also partnered with Hyrotrader, a native crypto prop firm. So if you want 10% off all challenge fees, use the code TraderMatt at checkout. You can trade up to 100x leverage with them, by the way. I'm not sure how many other crypto prop firms do that, but yeah, you get 100x leverage with them. You'll also get into my Discord channel where I can help you through the challenge phase. So the link is also below. All right, that's that out of the way. Now let's get on to the charts. So on this stream, basically what we're going to do is the usual analysis on what's happened mostly over the course of the day on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Hyperliquid, and then give a trade plan or ideas for the week ahead. And then going to do chart requests and Q&A for section 2. So if you want me to look at a particular coin that you're interested in, or you're currently in or whatever, then let me know and I'll get to that in chapter 2. You can also ask me, like, any Q&A is like anything you want to ask me. And then the last chapter is basically what to do if you're sidelined in Bitcoin at the moment. And I'm sidelined as well. I bought a little bit this morning, just when I woke up, just to have some exposure, just to have like something, just to feel it. And I'm glad I did that, actually, because it has actually helped. So that's a short answer. But that's going to be a broader section on what I expect to happen as well with the market, and some game plans for a broader outlook and a longer outlook, but also like just having some patience at the moment as well. So stick around for that. On H4, let's look at the daily to start, actually. We have pushed up right into this supply zone, which is where the sell-off kicked in to create these lower lows, essentially this whole chain. And prices come all the way back up to it. And then if you're a follower of my videos, my streams, my content, you'll see I always talk about returning to sender, like always going to the origin of the move. It just seems to always happen. And I was sort of banking on it following through at this point and not coming all the way back up, in which case it has. And it's done it in a very much like we're in a range type of fashion, like straight up to the other side, which makes me think on the way down, if it comes down, it should eat it through it, like a lot of this move, quite easily, I would say. Especially if we do that after potentially putting in a lower high here, which is still on the cards, right? So one thing to consider where we're at the moment is this supply zone. And this supply zone is where price came up above the previous supply. Comes up above the previous supply because this was the level holding us down at the time, about 79k. You'll probably remember back in February after this move, I was saying if we get back up to 79k, I'm shorting it down to 50k, and it only went down to 57, unfortunately. But this level above it is really important because it tries to change the market structure and be bullish up to the next area of liquidity at 90k, but it doesn't, and it sells off. And this is basically the absolute origin of this entire swing, but this is where it changes the market structure to be bearish instead of pushing back up and creating a new high, and following this trend, it sells off and creates a new low. So technically we're still in bearish market structure, so I'm not bullish at the moment. I'm not super bearish. I still believe that this can come down, but I can also see like a massive change, right, in the vibes and everything, and the fact that we've ripped up this hard. But I can still see it coming back down, and I don't want to be like, I'm really cautious of like coming online saying that, because it sounds like I'm playing a character now, like in the face of quite a lot of bullishness. It feels like, oh, I've just come on just to be bearish and stuff, but we're still in bearish market structure because this level hasn't been broken. Once that level breaks, then we're still in bearish market structure technically. But how many supply zones can you watch break before you start changing course and bias? But if it breaks up there, it's still in bearish market structure technically from this point, and then if it breaks above there, you've got it's pretty much settled, in my opinion. But you get these little things along the way, these little highs. But this was a really key high, so I do think that if it breaks 82k, it's going up to 90k, and then if it does that and continues the move in this fashion, like it's gonna look like the weirdest parabolic move you've ever seen, like in this type of swing. It will look quite strange if it just goes vertical, but if it does, it's going to pave the way for it to come all the way back down, in my opinion. So that's the kind of danger, because you wanted to see it building more organically. So the other situation to look out for here is that if we're still in bearish market structure, it might start losing its momentum here and then breaking down. And then if it does break down, we've got this 68K level, which is a really nice place to look for longs. But I'm not so keen on buying longs at 68 if it doesn't take out 84K first. If it takes out 84K, it's gonna retrace at some point. Like, even if it takes 90K, it can still come all the way back down, right? But if it doesn't take that level, if it doesn't take out 84K, then it's looking like a reaction to the supply, in which case it's going to come all the way to this deep level here on the hourly time frame, which is where basically we pushed up into 68K. And again, if you've been following the streams, if you follow my content every week, you'll see I've been saying above 68K, that's where the market structure changes and we start getting bullish, at least on an intra-week basis. And all of my shorts, all of my massive swing shorts, which I've been holding since October, November, and like January, they all got stopped out above on a trailing stop above 68K, because that was the level where I said, if we go above there, we're going to start trending up. But that level on the break of it is the origin of this entire uptrend now. So if it respects massive overhead supply and starts making lower lows and coming down to test it, it's going to be a really big test, because the data from the chart will say, yeah, it's pushed up, but it hasn't broken any meaningful highs, aka that big swing high, 84K. Yeah, it's broken some like big levels along the way, but it's just basically made its way back up to the top of the swing, made a lower high, and then it's coming back down, most likely to make a lower low. That's what you'd be saying if it doesn't break 82. I mean, what was the actual high? 82,850. So essentially 83K. But it might even just like spike it and then come back down like that. You want it to sort of break above it and then hold above it with higher highs to say that we've most likely bottomed and this is the origin of the uptrend. But at this point, even if we are destined to go up and break out, you want to see it just range for as much time as possible and then start playing the breakouts like that. You have to kind of treat it like you're in price discovery. Like, this is just, imagine we've got this, like, here's the coin origin, and then it's just pumped up, and you're going, well, where the fuck do I buy in a market that is not pumping up, is not retracing, and it's got nothing to the left of it? And the answer to that is you just wait for it to go sideways and then break out, retest, and then show signs of another trend with a higher high. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for around this area. Ideally, if I'm bullish, I want to see it break sooner than later. But if it builds here and then starts breaking out in the same fashion as it is sort of like this, if it comes up and then does that, this is going to look like a pretty good trend. But this is the level to sort of look out for. I don't have it marked on. Yeah, the 2 hourly time frame. There's a potential top being formed here before we get a retrace. And we won't really know until we get a little bit more price action. I'd like to see it come back down into the range and maybe test these lows, or at least a range low, and then see what we build from there. If it's then a higher high, then it's looking like we're going to get trend continuation, like that maybe. But if it keeps putting in some lower highs and then it starts breaking down, then going to be expecting that retrace down to about 68K, which, as I said, is that origin of this entire move. That's if we're not going to build up here to just continue. I'd be looking for that. So I'm 50-50 about which way it could go. Obviously, you can make a really strong case that it's just going to break through. We have a lot of buying. We have a lot of buying strength. We have a lot of sentiment shift. We've broken out of a 2.5-ish month range. You'd kind of favor like it's probably, and also getting to that time where the bear market usually finishes, even though we've probably got like another 40 days typically. You'd favor it to push up, but I'm just not sure because the whole move feels very strange and we haven't had a retrace. And I think if you took a sample of people who were bullish, they probably wouldn't have said if they were when we were down here that it's going to rip up to 80k that quickly. If you took like a sample of just bullish people back down there, I would say you probably have less than 5% of them that would have said like, yeah, we're going to rip this hard this quick. So a lot of the market has been caught off guard, and I still am not sure that this is going to be going up. I'll be more sure when this breaks. But if we start losing the momentum here and then heading back south, I think this is a really big ask at 68k if we haven't taken that high. So this is a range to watch. I think it's good to play it on the higher time frames at the moment. Let it build. Because if you go online, there's a lot of craziness and there's a lot of euphoria and a lot of name calling, and there's like a lot of stuff that will make you feel bad about not being in the right position or not being in any position or having a certain view. Like, it's really difficult, but if you just zoom out a little bit, you can act slower and you can get a sort of like a better feel for the market rather than going on and seeing the craziness. Like on M30, this is all like, it's very flat at the moment. I can still see this pushing up, but it's a case of what happens then when it pushes up. Is it going to make lower lows or is it just going to keep going? But I can really favor either way at the moment, and I'd like more confirmation. And that's kind of how I am in trends. I think you need a bit more of a base than this before you can then confirm it the next leg up, because otherwise you get, if it does it too quick, you can get a reversal, because it's almost like the people that are like top blasting get caught out and act as a liquidity to send us back down. So yeah, I know it's like could go up, could go down, but it's a really, really big bearish level, and we have taken out like lower lows, and this isn't in the realms of impossibility that we do end up just dropping back down either from there or even from there. It's kind of got 2019 summer vibes. Don't know if you guys remember, but back in the spring in 2019, it caught like pretty much everyone off guard and it ripped really fucking hard like this. And then it ultimately kind of topped out and then sent back down. We had a G pump from present G, and then it dropped down for the COVID stuff. So it feels a little bit like that, like it could also top out. I'd be very surprised if we just like get a full bull market pump from here. But I'm trying to be prepared for it as well, because, you know, maybe this time it is doing it. But so far the price action is telling me this is still in a bearish market structure. It's the origin of this downtrend. And then we've got a really key level down here, about 68k, which is defining the current market structure. So if it drops down and still puts in like a higher low, I would still treat this as something to go long from, rather than like break down and then look for a short. But if it takes this level out and then comes back up, then I'd be looking to short that. But at the moment, I can't call it either way. It's too up in the air, in my opinion. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Bitcoin. Got a key level of 68k. We've got a key range here, sitting under a very key high, sitting at a key high. Momentum is kind of there, but also fading a little bit. Is meeting a lot more selling pressure now. But I still overall favor that we might just have another couple of days of chop. Like between 76 and 83, maybe we might even just chop here for a little while, get the dip down and then send. So it might be a little bit boring. So I don't think it's going to massively matter about getting in really quickly, but it's building. Let me have some water. What do you guys think? Hodder Rockets here. What's up, bro? What's up with you? You and your football team doing well? Kilo's here. Hello. And then on YouTube. Yes, but still sees 40k on the table. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Mr. Casper, my favorite trader is back. Who is your favorite trader? Crypto 004. Isn't this just a range until proven otherwise? Yes, I would say so. Yes. That would be wild. I'm not sure what that is in reference to, but I'm glad it made you feel something. All right, let's look at Ethereum and then go on to the other shitcoins. All right, so Ethereum, essentially, the way I'm looking at it is, and I have been saying for a while, the problem has been that we were down like 70 odd % from the highs, and I didn't really know how much lower it could go, but I still think it can go lower. But again, I don't want to be this like character or someone sounding like I'm this character that is just like coming up at the top of the pump to be bearish. It's not the case at all. It's just that we have a very clean range here, and it's had these highs before. It's dropped down to the lows, tried to go, pushed up, and then has ripped up, kind of like the way it's done it on very, very low volume. It's done it, it looks inorganic, but also there is clearly a lot of strength that you could see maybe this isn't the target for this move, but this untested level at $3,000 is probably where we can look to see signs of exhaustion and a retrace, whether it takes it out or comes lower or respects it. It looks like basically if we can see it hold above 2,500, it's got a lot of open space up to $3,000 to travel up to. So it could move quite quickly, in my opinion. The problem for me is that on the lower time frames, the price action is dog shit. It's really, really scrappy. And I think it's played out its crazy euphoric parabolic push for now, and I do think it probably wants to retrace. And this is the end of that chain at 2250, which is where the buying took place to take out this key high. And that is essentially the market saying to you, we're attempting to change the market structure to a bullish market from a bearish market. And it's now up to the bulls to see if they've got enough to keep this going. So on a retrace of that level, retrace to that level, be looking for longs. I'm not looking for shorts based on this momentum. Like intra week, it's just too obvious. Like what, I don't see the point in fading it because it could, crypto, when it goes, it fucking goes. So I'd be looking for a retrace down to 2250 based on this so far, or I want to see it just maybe build some sort of obvious structure sideways, and then start breaking out again if it's going to go. But at the moment, on the medium time frames, I don't see this as clean enough just yet. But it might clean up overnight. So the cleanest level is down here at 2250. If that breaks, especially again after maybe putting in a top like this, if that breaks, that is going to then change the market structure to the downside. It's going to be bearish again, and this attempt to be bullish fails and respects the high and then creates a lower low. That is then a signal that this is a top and that we need to go start shorting. And the people that are sidelined are kind of hoping for that. I think anyone really, even if you're fully in it, it looks like the type of move where you'd start scaling out and taking some profits. Why wouldn't you want it to go lower to buy more, in my opinion? If we're going to have like a giga bull market, you'd want to get it even cheaper, but it's difficult. You know, if you've got plans for it for pump from where it had, you would see that as the bottom. But I would still say you'd want it lower. So from a trading point of view, 2250 is a great level to wait for, or for like this to build some sort of cleaner price action structure in order to continue in the trend. But or it may even just retrace a little bit and then build. But from what I'm seeing on H2, not really that tradable at the moment. It looks like the momentum of everything is dropping. So you'd want to see the highs get broken as soon as possible, ideally tomorrow, to have a trend continuation. Otherwise, the more we start chopping at this point, then the more likely it is we're going to get that retrace. So very big level at 2250. If it can build and stay constructive, then I see a clear path up to 3,000, but just not enough to go off of yet. Maybe with the price actions, because it's so scrappy, you can have sort of a range here like that, but I would say I'd probably want it to build a little bit more and then do something like that in order to start looking longs from it. So yeah, that's how I'd be looking at Ethereum. Some sort of structure being built here to continue. If it drops down, I wouldn't be looking to short because we've got this really big level at 2250 and very strong momentum on the side. So then I'd be looking for longs down there. Or I'd also be wary of the fact that it may fail depending on how it builds from this point before testing here, and watch out for shorts as well. All right. H4 on Solana. Right, so here's the daily range that I've been using since February. And very similar to everything else, it's kind of dropped down, pushed up, and taken the highs. I would expect this has bottomed based on what we're seeing. And I've been trolled a little bit because I've been saying $50 Solana, and It calling for $50 since it was at 220 last year, and it came down to like 59. So kind of, it wasn't that bad of a if this is the bottom, that wasn't that bad of a prediction, really, was it? So now it's come back to the highs, but we still have this key supply at $100, which is untested. So you would want to see it break above there, come back down, hold, and then you'd be looking to buy here or at the key level I've marked at the mid-range on the lower time frames. That's when you start looking to add, in my opinion. But from what we're seeing at the moment, it's obviously even just going to push straight up through to the supply, and then we'll get a range, and then it's either going to break or fall back down. Or if we look down on this time frame here on H2 with this massive whipsaw, which kind of was a big signal that the market strength and the momentum had died at that point. And then from there, we now see that it's kind of moving in a channel up. So if it keeps breaking up, then to expect further upside. But then obviously if it starts failing back down, it's going to be hunting liquidity back down at $85, which I think, based on what I'm seeing, is probably the more likely scenario. I think it might build here and look like it's going to push up. But I wouldn't be confident of that until we got like a double push or something, if that makes sense. Like you break above the high and then you get another momentum shift. Whereas I feel like it could easily do something like that to come back down to this $85 support, which is where the buying took place to push this move in up. So it's a nice level to look for longs and to buy down here, but still wary of the fact that it may break down if it does come back down, because we're still in bearish market structure until this $105 level gets broken. And yeah, that's kind of it on Solana. It's very, very similar across most of the coins now, because they've all pumped it up like this sort of channel. And if it doesn't impulse up and continue, it's going to come all the way back down to them. And then we have to see if that's going to be the place where we get some longs and get bullish. So Hyperliquid on H4, taking out the all-time high, created a new all-time high, and then down here, same concept as what I was just talking on the other coins. We have the end of the chain at $69, which is where the buying took place to push up and break $76. So I would say that on a retrace down to there, $69, pretty good area to look to load up. Also wary the fact that it may break down and that the Trump thing, it isn't long lived. You would expect it to be, but if we've definitely bottomed, if we haven't, then this will be a third push up. And if it makes a lower low from that point, then it's not going to be a pretty sight, is it? But considering the strength, considering everything else, you've got to look at this as a decent buying opportunity down at about $69. And I can't see anything really on the lower time frames either. And this is kind of what I was just talking about with the impulse, right? So you get the channel, it impulses up, tries to continue, and then if it fails, it's going to come back down to the origin. Much in the same way as how everything's moved up to the origin of the sell-offs that created the new lows. And this is kind of rounding off. So I would say 69 is quite a decent area to look for a target. I would say based also on previous behavior that I've seen from Hyperliquid, it may also just eject here. So it's very difficult to read. But from an ideal, logical, sensible trader point of view, $69 is the really key area to start looking for this to retrace back down to. And it might go. It might go. It's looking kind of like it wants to. So we'll see. All right. I'm just going to have some water. I'm going to look at the chat, and then we'll get into the second part of the stream. Colo Gonzalo 999. Are you monitoring the asks on the order book, or you don't rely on that? There's a good size wall at the 80s for Bitcoin. I don't look at that personally. I think you can see it all in the charts. So yeah, I don't look at that. But interesting to know still, right? Right, let's look on X. Sue. I think I said that right. I think down here to 74, then back up on Bitcoin, I guess. Bitcoin. Back down to 74, then back up. Maybe, yeah. Could happen. I'm bidding alts around 71k lowest. Interesting. That's a good target as well, but I turned bearish on that. Strong close below wouldn't look too hot. If you come down to 71, that's just the range high retest. Like this is broken out. That's like the perfect area to start bidding. I don't know why you'd get bearish there. If this makes a new high. If this makes a new high and then comes back down to like 71, I'm saying, yeah, game on. Like you should be bidding that. But if this falls down from here, I would say it's probably going to come back down. So yeah, it depends on how it goes. I think someone on Twitch is talking. In my opinion, I'd be surprised if we full pump. I think here down to 74, then back up. Wait, what? Oh no, it's you guys talking to each other. I thought that was Twitch. It's come a completely different username in the chat. All right, second part of this stream is Q&A and chart requests. So if you've got any chart requests, let me know and we'll run through it for you. And if you've got any other questions, life related, trading related, whatever, then also let me know. This is the section for that. Do you ever take a look at the liquidation heat map? I don't, no. It's interesting. It definitely is interesting, though. Where can I get it? How can I get it up? This is probably going to be a short section based on what I'm hearing so far. All right, I might just get to the next section, and then if there's anything after that, then I'll get to it. All right, so chapter 3 is what to do if you're sidelined in crypto or in Bitcoin. What do you do? So the first thing that you should do if you're sidelined is not open your wallet and buy at the top of this move. I'm never going to come on here and say you should be top blasting moves, especially with money that you want to put in for an investment. But if it ends up coming up to 250K in the next cycle, if you top blasted down here, well, it looks like a top blast down here, right? But even if it ends up ranging still and then going up like this, it's gonna look okay. You may not have wanted down here like me. You may not have wanted down here, got what you wanted down here, but it's gonna look quite good at this point still. You're still probably thinking about it as, well, here up to the all-time high isn't that much, so it would have been better if I got down here. And yeah, it would have been better if you got down there. But in the long run, if you look at the reasons why you want to get into this down here, it's because you're expecting it to go a lot higher. So whether you get in at the break of the breakout, like the origin of the breakout, or you get in at the first continuation level, you're going to still get 90% of the trend. And that's the most important thing. So if you're sidelined at the moment, you have to zoom out and have a little bit of perspective on the fact that the absolute origin of the pump that causes the new trend, if this is to be the new trend, because nothing's confirmed yet, you can have it sort of in different sections. When you get a trend, you have it like in different stages. You have like the accumulation, you have the pump up, some like the first impulse. Sometimes you'll get the retest, sometimes it will come back down and do range more and then go. For the sake of argument, like let's imagine it has one retest and then it comes back up, and then you've got the confirmation on a higher high that this breakout here is now sustainable and it's going to continue up. The people who buy down here and the people who buy here are always going to be the ones in your head, or the ones that apparently buy there as well, I should say. They're going to be the ones in your head making you think you've taken a shit trade, making you think that you've missed out like there's a massive opportunity. But along the trend, you're going to get places where things go sideways and then continue. Sometimes they'll go heavier. Sometimes they'll just stack. And then eventually it'll retrace, and then we'll come back up, and then we'll range and we'll range. So you'll see it will come in different stages. At the moment, we're technically sort of down at this stage here. Like it's pushed up this initial breakout, and it should retrace. And if it doesn't retrace, it's going to be going sideways, either like that, or maybe it just keeps going up and then goes sideways even further up. But it's at these sideways areas where if you get in on a breakout there, or you get in on a fake out of the lows, like let's say it comes down here and then you get to buy there and then it pushes back up. When price is up here, you're not going to be worried about the fact that you missed like this bit. But if we're here and you put a sizable chunk of your net worth in and then it comes down lower, you are going to definitely think about that when it goes a lot higher, because you would have been able to have a lot more in your investment. So I'm always an advocate of the fact that you need to see more price action. You need to see confirmation. If you're looking to get invested in something and know that, realistically in 3 years' time, Bitcoin is going to be higher than it is now. Like, based on history, based on everything, like, it's going to be higher than it is now. So it's likely you're going to be up. But I would say, for the sake of your mental health in the shorter term or the medium term, is to wait for more confirmation, because we still don't know if it could come up like from this point, and maybe the people who have been calling for 40K, or let's say 50K, another 37%. Do you want to be putting your savings or, whatever nest egg you've got at a point where you still run the risk of a 37% haircut on your savings, even if it is just for like the next 6 months, and then it's going to pump back up and we go happy days, bull market. But you will think about that you put a large chunk in at 37 when there's still a risk of 37% down. If it takes out this high, then sure, it changes the picture buying at this point, but it makes it more likely that if it takes out 84K, it makes it more likely that 68K will hold, and then suddenly the drawdown isn't so bad and you can add in on it, right? So a number of different things can happen. And if you are sidelined, you're just going to have to wait, because the alternative is potentially buying the top. And if you did, and then a week from now it ends up dropping, you're going to feel really shitty. So I've bought like a little bit this morning just to have some exposure to it. The kind of exposure where if it does drop back down and I've bought here, it's not really going to like affect me. But I've got a little bit of exposure now, and it's made me feel a little bit better about having something. Even if I know it might take like 20% hit on that, it's okay, because I will just hold that for the long term. But I haven't full clipped in. And if you look at any of my trading content recently, you'll see that I always talk about adding in smaller positions before building up a larger position on more confirmation. I'm doing exactly the same thing on this, just on a much bigger scale, and it requires way more patience because we're playing at a higher time frame. So I would say that a number of different things could happen, and we haven't had any confirmation yet. We still haven't made a higher high. And if I'm playing devil's advocate and just kind of like commenting on what we are seeing, the people who are really bullish at this current high were also the same people that were like hyper bullish the last time we were here, and when we were up here, and also kind of up here. The same people are kind of getting really loud at this point. And I know at some point it is just going to go, and maybe this is it. But the fact that there's no real kind of, hey, just be careful. Every time we've called the heights, every time we've called the bottoms before, it's ended up like falling out of his ass and like being completely wrong. No one's really kind of like taking any caution with their calls, which makes me kind of wary of the fact that this is going to follow through. If I'm being completely like contrarian and devil's advocate, I would say that is a recipe for this to come back down. And if that is the case, then you're going to be happier for sticking to your system and not buying at the highs, or not buying, like you'd be vindicated if it came down. I mean, it still may not, but you would be vindicated if it came down. You'd be happy that you didn't FOMO in, and that will add a different reference point to your arsenal for when you're trading in the future and investing in the future. You'll have that understanding and that experience of like what that discomfort is and sitting through it. It's a really good plus point. But even if it does now just consolidate and break upwards, you'd be better off waiting for that consolidation, maybe the fake out to the downside, the reclaim of the range, and then the push up, or just taking a breakout above from that point. You'd feel better knowing that, because the most important thing really is once you get in, let's say this is Pico bottom now, right? The most important thing now from this point onwards, if you're sidelined, is that once you get in, the number goes up. It may not be a 10x like you'd hoped if you caught Pico bottom. It may not be a 5x. Doesn't really matter what it is. You can only take what you're given now. So if you're buying here, are you going to say, that's it, it's never coming back below this point again? Your expectation is that it's just going to go up from here. And if you ask yourself, what's really the likelihood of that happening? I would say it's slim. It is possible because Bitcoin fucking runs when it runs. But you've got to ask yourself now, where's my best chance of getting in? And after I get in, the number just goes up. And I would say you'd be better off doing that on the retrace. Even if it ends up coming up here and then dropping, you have more confirmation thanks to this point at the next low that it's going to hold. And then you're able to add with more conviction and more logic. So you need to put aside the emotional brain. You have to put aside the FOMO and probably log off of X for a while until this move has settled down. Because otherwise you're going to do silly shit and you're going to buy into the hysteria, and it might end up being completely wrong at some point in time. And it may be this time it is going to be correct. But you don't want to be making decisions based on what everyone else is saying online. And you just want to make sure that that part of that emotional side of you is like, you just maybe take the hat off and put it over here and just put on the patience hat and just put on just get more into the headspace of the fact that maybe you have missed the bottom. And let's say you have, the only thing you can do now is find a logical entry based on what you would do if you were trading this on like M5 or like the hourly time frame. You're playing on a much bigger time frame, but you're playing with investments to hold for a much higher time frame. So you want to see the same type of signs that which you would see in your system. At the moment, I'm not seeing that on a higher time frame. It's looking good. It's looking constructive. Don't get me wrong, but this isn't. It doesn't fill me with confidence if I bought here that it wouldn't come back down to this range. So yeah, like whatever emotions you're going through, I completely understand it. Whatever FOMO you're feeling, I completely understand it. But when you see things online where people say, "Oh, you've got a top blast in these conditions," I'm never going to say do that, because it's caused me so much pain doing it, and it might be right 1 out of 10 times, but it will end up creating a habit where you then go and experience 8 or 9 losses out of those 10 times that completely undoes that one time that it does work, and it makes you feel shit. It makes you feel like you've wasted loads of time, and it creates a bad way of looking at the market. So I think the best thing you can do is just wait for a retrace, wait for it to go sideways, pretend like it's in price discovery, as I said earlier on the stream, and wait for it to make some sort of structure that makes sense where you can then define your risk and then continue the trend, or, whatever. But I would say if you look back in history at any chart, when you see a move like this, it always comes down. At some point in history, it's going to come down. And if it doesn't, then, like I said, you've got the continuation you can catch. In that hypothetical situation, it's not going to come down, and you've got in, and it's just going to go up from after that. You might not have had your ideal holdings or allocation, but fuck it. At the end of the day, we're here to make money, like regardless. And you can't go back and change time and go back to last Wednesday or whenever it was and buy before the pump. We're here now, so you've got to make a logical plan, and that logical plan is wait for a retrace to a key level, or go sideways and confirm the trend on another breakout, especially after key highs have been broken, which we don't have yet. So when you're in bed at night and you're tossing and turning a little bit and you are unsure about what's going on, For now, at least, we're in bearish market structure. So let that kind of warm you up a little bit. But things can change very quickly, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan for this situation. I've been saying it on X, even when we were down here. I said if it starts breaking above 74K, then I'm gonna think it's bottoms. I'm gonna start looking for longs, but I think it can just come back down below 74K and trend lower still. We're not out of the woods yet from the bear market, in my opinion, either on a time horizon or on a price action from the price action signs. Doesn't mean that we won't end up getting it. It might end up coming up here and breaking everything after all. But right now, at this point in time, as someone who trades reactionary, and I'm reacting to the price action, not putting my like prediction hat and gambling hat on. As a reactionary trader, I'm not seeing anything that makes me believe that the risk reward is good enough for me to get long just yet, and especially up here. Because even if I was going to take, let's say it breaks out like this and I want to take a trade, I don't know if I could even get 2R up to 90K, where it could also come back down. So you're going to have to play it like that, essentially. If you're like one of your mates came up to you and said they just full ported Bitcoin right now, you probably go, "Ooh, that's not a good idea, is it?" So you probably wouldn't want to do that yourself. Do I ever take a look at liquidation heat map to prevent FOMO? No, I don't. I think the thing is, you will always feel FOMO. I guess this is kind of a wider conversation on trading as well, and trading psychology, is that you will always feel FOMO. You will always feel the emotions, and it's up to you to change your habits of giving up to the FOMO, because you will have the emotion, and then it's up to you to make a decision. I'm either going to hit that trade to FOMO in because I can't get over these emotions and I just want that pain to go away, or you sit through the discomfort, you do something different and sit through the discomfort of that emotion, ride it out, feel it, understand it, and then afterwards ask yourself, what's the next logical thing I can do? Make a plan. What can it do from here? How many different scenarios for longs are there from this point that I need to look out for? How many scenarios are there of price action where from this point it's going to drop? Like I need to think of all these things so I'm ready for it, not just going, I want to buy, I should just buy here. I'm thinking about multiple different things, right? It could even come down here. So it's a difficult thing to do, but if you're able to first be self-aware enough to see the way that you are feeling FOMO. So if you're feeling like at the moment I need to fucking get in this market, ask yourself, if you went into the market, it's a bit like post-nut clarity, isn't it? You might end that pain from the FOMO and the like uncertainty about what to do, but afterwards your logical brain takes over and goes, oh shit, why did I do that? It's right under resistance. It's at the top of this massive move. Why did I go long at the top? But also part of that journey of preventing FOMO and understanding that it can hurt you and not to do it is to ride through, like to have those painful experiences, or listen to people like me who have had enough of them to say you feel like shit afterwards, and the best thing you can do is like turn down the noise of social media and create a logical plan based on certain scenarios about what you would do. What will you do if it creates a higher high from here? What will you do if it creates a low from here? What will you do if it chops here for a week? Like, what are you doing? What are you looking out for? You need to go and figure all that out. To me, if it comes down that far to 68 to 69K, it will trigger a liquidation cascade, since the move up was also thin with no structure. Potentially, yes. Yeah. But usually those liquidation cascades end up You might just overshoot it, but like wick back up and do something like that. Because the other like to go the opposite way of that, this is what's happened. We've just had a liquidation cascade for a certain part of this move, and the spot buying has tried to continue up from there. But we don't know if we're going to see enough to continue this move, or if it's going to come back down. And the liquidations fueled most of it, but we might end up having a ton of long liquidations, that send us further down. So much can happen at this point, which is why I think it's better to get a bit more of a zoomed out view. And if we're talking about bottoms and we're talking about like market cycles and stuff, we at least need to have a change in market structure, which we haven't had yet on this time frame. So yeah, we have to wait and see, right? All right, any questions on anything? Any chart requests? Otherwise, I'm gonna head off. 100% what you're saying, Matt. Reading CT can be so tilting and increase the feelings of FOMO when people bull post like crazy. Yes. It may seem like I've been putting a fair amount of bullish posts out recently, but make no mistake, I'm neither bullish nor bearish. I still have an idea of getting short at this point. I still see a scenario where that can come about. Like I said, I'm a reactionary trader. If it ends up moving sideways and then breaking to the upside, I'm going to look long. But if it ends up going sideways here and starts breaking down, I might chance a short based on the fact that we haven't broken that upside structure yet. And that would be the exact type of thing I'd want to see at this point, is some sideways movement after a massive pump into it, some sideways action, and then breakdown. That's like A+ situation. So I am looking out for that, and I'm not committing to the fact that this is going to push up. But obviously I can see a scenario. I can see, like, I'm not stupid. I can see the trend up, but I'm not going to be on there going like, this is it. We made it. Like, we're all done. This is just the up only now. I can't see that still being the case. And I will be very clear and obvious when my overall bias has changed. But it's in that uncertain window at the moment where it's like, I can see this going up, but I can see this coming back down. And I'm not sure which is which yet, but a lot of this move has been really strong from the bottom. But if it tops out roundabouts where it is now and starts coming back down and puts up maybe a series of lower lows and lower highs, you might start thinking, well, was that it? So I'm just prepared for both scenarios where it could go down as well. But I'm not sure. And I did this at 82K as well. When I said about on my tweet, it was around about down here, I said if it gets to 79K, I'm going to look for shorts back down. And when it broke above for a period of time, I was unsure. I was like, fuck, this is actually really strong. It keeps grinding up. And then got the signs of the breakdown, and then I was like, right, let's go gadget. But like, that was one of my entry triggers, I think. No, sorry, it was this one, and then I got in on this one up here. But if this one had broken upwards, I would just easily have like taken a long there, because I was uncertain, because we're at a key inflection point. And when we're at a key inflection point, it's especially in the way that we've pumped up into it, it's just a bit like, I'm not entirely sure. But once we get enough price action, and that might just be another like 3 days of sideways movement, once we get enough price action, I'll be more certain, then I'll execute and I'll go in with size and expect a positive outcome. But for now, I can't see anything just yet that confirms this as a bottom, other than we've had a massive push up into the top of a range. That's all I'm seeing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Just going to plug again, Blofin. They get 150x leverage trading on there, non-KYC as well. And if you sign up using my link, which is in my bio, and it'll be on the comments and the description after this, you get access to my private Telegram with daily market reviews, and you'll also get access to my weekly live trading streams, which I do every single Thursday, and it's going to be Tuesdays as well at some point, probably in like 2 months or something. 'Cause I'm going on holiday next month for 3 weeks. So you don't have to pay anything to get involved with the market reviews. You don't have to pay to get involved in the live trading. Just sign up to Blofin and trade on there. Bring your volume across. We'll match your VIP and fee structure. If your current structure is better, we'll match it. Just send me proof of it, and we'll get that changed. And then that will help support me, and I can make more content. Also, if you are trading prop and you're looking for a prop with 100x leverage trading, then check out Hyrotrader. You get 10% off with code TraderMatt when you get out to checkout. But there's also a link with my coupon attached. But always best just to type in TraderMatt in the checkout, and you can get 5K accounts up to 200K accounts. But I think in this current environment, it's great to get on board and maybe not put so much of your capital at risk and try catch a high leverage move on someone else's dime once you pass the challenge. And if you do sign up to Hyrotrader, you'll get access to the Discord as well, and I'll try and help you through that challenge. All right, guys, take care. Happy trading week. Hope you had a good one, and I'll see you on Wednesday. I've got Cento Trades coming on stream on Wednesday, which is going to be a really good one. He's a good trader.